Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some of the stocks on the move today in Europe. I'm Lizzie Burden alongside Stephen Carroll, and we're joined in the studio by Bloomberg reporter Chloe Mellet. Chloe, I want to start with Porsche speeding ahead from the other automakers this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So Porsche actually on Friday evening reported its first quarterly loss since its IPO, and that it was due to a €3 billion hit this year from US tariffs and its decision to scale back its electric ambition. We remember that last month it had cut its guidance, which was the fourth time this year, and obviously that quarterly loss of almost €1 billion does look quite bad on the surface, but you said that it is indeed driving ahead, speeding ahead, and the shares are doing quite well this morning, because if we dig a little deeper, there are actually reasons to be optimistic in this statement that we had on Friday. So some analysts noted that the loss wasn't as bad as expected, and the margin of almost 10% looked quite resilient, and that's really boosting sentiment because there's now expectations that a return to form could be underway, and that better days could be coming as soon as 2026. There's still a lot of challenges, of course. Demand for luxury electric vehicles is still very weak. There's obviously supply chain disruptions happening at the moment in that auto market. But the hope for Porsche is that cost cuts and drastic changes to the lineup of its models with a real emphasis on SUVs will kind of help it come out of this quite difficult period.
Okay, so that's what's going on with Porsche this morning. To Glencore next, and interesting to think about how the moves that we've seen in some metal prices are affecting the share price today.
Yeah, so Glencore and other big mining companies were up this morning after copper advanced towards an all-time high, which was because of that hope that the US and China are making good progress on a deal. So US and Chinese trade negotiators wrapped up the talks on Sunday that appears to be teeing up a deal for Trump and Xi Jinping to be finalizing later this week, with the threat of 100% tariffs from Trump definitely off the table. Copper's actually been pretty strong throughout this year, but that has been actually mostly due to a series of mine disruptions in countries that produce a lot of copper, and then also the decline of the dollar, which made commodities priced in dollars much more attractive. But this particular rise that we saw today rests really on this broader optimism that global economic growth will be stronger if China and the US find this common ground. So that is really driving those mining stocks higher this morning.
And finally, Chloe, some surprise M&A for Sydbank. How's the market reacting?
Yeah, so Danish bank Sydbank has agreed to buy two rivals to combine into one bigger bank, with the new entity becoming being one of Denmark's 5 largest bank. So we've seen the shares of Sydbank rise quite a lot this morning on news of that deal, which was actually really unexpected. So an economist at Nordnet in Denmark called the acquisition a genuine surprise and said that it came completely out of the blue, but it seems to be welcomed quite warmly by the market. This comes as we've seen quite a lot of consolidation in that Nordic banking sector. We saw DNB recently take over Carnegie. And there's also, of course, been quite a lot of consolidation, at least a lot of talk or attempts of consolidation in the European banking sector more generally. Some of the big proposals have failed. Of course, we know about BBVA and Sabadell. UniCredit and Commerzbank is stalled at the moment. So perhaps those smaller deals are maybe the way forward.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.